Hi guys, this is Paige. I want to make this video about God's sense of humor and how God has a sense of humor. It actually talks about joking in the Bible. This is in Ephesians 5. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us and hath given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savour. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Now, jesting is like joking, but you have to see the manner in which it's said. It says jesting, which is not convenient. It doesn't mean joking in general. Jest means speak or act in a joking manner, but it doesn't mean that in general. If you actually look to different versions of that verse, it says in the English Standard Version, let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. Also, coarse joking is another translation. It means like vulgar, coarse joking. Rude, crude, or vulgar. That's what coarse means. Vulgar means lacking sophistication or good taste, unrefined. It's like the devil's sense of humor. You know the demons have a sense of humor? You know what their sense of humor is? It's like crude and vulgar, perverted humor, if you could call it humor. You'll see it, there's some movies, not telling you to watch these movies, but maybe you saw some of them when you were lost or whatever. It's just sexual, wicked, disgusting, vulgar jokes that demean women or, things like that. God doesn't like that. That's from Satan. That's demonic humor. But comedy or laughter was created by God. It's not evil in general. But Satan tries to then twist it and make it crude and vulgar and disgusting with sexual jokes. And you know what I'm talking about. God really doesn't like that. I can tell if I'm ever exposed to it in any way, it's like I just feel like revulsion, just disturbed by it, like totally disgusted by it. God doesn't like that. He doesn't want us to say those things. Like crude, vulgar jokes. But God invented laughter, actually. He's funny. He's got a sense of humor, God. When Jesus Christ was going to cast out demons out of that man that was possessed with legion, and the demons were like, send us into the swine. They were like, don't send us to hell. We don't want to go there. Pretty much is what they meant. And then Jesus was like, go in the swine. And then the swine ran down. And ran down a steep place into the sea. And the demons went to hell anyway. It was almost like a joke. There's another part where Simon came to Jesus. He's like, should we pay tribute money or? And Jesus was like, well, should we not offend them? Go fish. And there's going to be a fish, and inside the fish's mouth will be a coin. And then you give it to them for me and you. It's kind of like a joke. God's sense of humor, it's like subtle. It's like a subtle, hidden, secret joke. It's kind of like what he likes to do. Righteously. That's like his humor. There's actually a part where Elijah, you remember Elijah and how he told, he was like, okay, let's see who's God here. You call down your God, Baal, and see if he'll, call down fire, and I'll call down mine. And then when it wasn't happening and they kept trying to get Baal to send down the fire, Elijah was like, oh, I guess they're sleeping, or they're on vacation or something. They just can't hear you. It's like mocking Satan. It's a joke. That's like God's humor. God likes to joke around with me in a righteous manner. A righteous manner. The other day, I was in the store, and there were it was like corn. And on the corn, it was like in plastic wrap. And there were blue butterflies all over it. And whenever there's a blue butterfly around, I'm always like, what is this? Is God speaking to me? Because he speaks to me through that a lot. That's a symbol he speaks to me through. He gave me a dream of it. It means have joy over my love for you. He showed it to me many times. He even showed me pictures of himself with it there, or holding it. It's from him, for sure. And that part in the Bible came to mind. This is in Matthew 12. At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were an hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn, and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. And then Jesus basically was just like, don't condemn the guiltless. The Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. Basically what was going on is the Pharisees got upset that the disciples were eating the corn and plucking it on the Sabbath day. And then Jesus was like, they're doing nothing wrong. Because the Pharisees will always try to condemn and stuff like that. You know what? That was God. God was showing me through the corn. He's like, Paige, eat the corn. Symbolically, you know what he's saying? Be free from Pharisee nonsense, Paige. Literally. And have joy over my love for you, that you're not under this nonsense of Pharisees. And how they condemn all day over just minor things that I don't even care about. Just eat the corn. Literally. He gave me that verse. Like, I thought of the verse. I was like, wait, the corn? It's a joke. When you get really close to God, he'll start joking around with you. I mean, he does it with me. It may be different for other people in their relationships with him, but he has a sense of humor. God led me to watch this movie. It's a movie, it's like Icelandic, or it's about this couple that sing. I saw it, I was like, they're singing. And I felt led to watch it. And it's like this man and this woman, and they're Icelandic. And they sing, they want to get into this competition. And ABBA, have you guys ever heard of that band? It's called ABBA, ABBA. They're Swedish or Icelandic. They're Swedish. And It's called Abba because their names are the first letter of their names are A, B, B, A. Abba. And God was showing me in that movie that I'm kind of like that girl. She would sing. You know how I said you're like a bell symbolically? When I preach or when I sing to him or when I do anything for God, it's like it sounds like a clear bell to God. Because you're like an instrument. We have piped unto you, but you have not, danced. It's like, okay, we're preaching, but you have not accepted. It's like symbolic. You know how Paul, I talked about this stuff before, but I'll just talk about it in a small way. When Paul said, if I don't have love, I'm like a clanging cymbal. Like I sound like that. But he didn't say this, but if he has love, what does he sound like? A clear bell. A very nice sound to God, like a bell. And God confirmed this to me. So when I preach, it's like I sing. It's like music to God's ears. So it's like she'd sing. And you know what she said in part of the movie? She was like, oh, he taught me to sing. And her mom was like, no, Abba taught you how to sing. Abba. You know what that is? For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Abba is the Hebrew word for father. It's in the Bible. And that girl is kind of like me. Her name means beauty and wisdom. And her mom's like, Abba taught you how to sing. You know what that is? That's like God saying, I taught you how to preach or sing, Paige. Abba taught you. It's a joke. There were parts in the movie she was wearing rainbow clothes. I was like, oh, that's me. There was a guy in the movie. Now, it's not completely. There's certain things in the movie that are not of God. You see, sometimes just with movies, I just take out certain parts that are not from God. There's a guy in the movie named Alexander. And he sings this song. It's called The Lion of Love. I'm like, what is... And he's like, you have to sing from in here, like here. That's like God saying, sing from the Spirit. Just preach from the Spirit. Now, certain parts, there were some bad humor in there. I just ignore that. Because part of that's from God for me. That's a joke. Alexander, defender of men. Lion of love. Abba. When he showed me that, I was like, what? It's a joke. He jokes around with me. Now, and he's kind of confirming, like, Paige, I'm doing this through you. You know, we're singing together, or, And the guy, Alexander, was kind of teaching her how to sing better or something. You know how God's kind of like the Phantom of the Opera and the way he's like my teacher? He teaches her to sing. See how it confirms everything? You know how God told me he will speak to me through Greek mythology. Now, some people will think that's weird. And I at first would be like, you're not going to speak to me through like goddesses and things like this. Because, goddesses and gods and all this stuff, this is like invented by Satan. So people will worship other things. But God will speak to me through Greek mythology with goddesses and gods and stuff like that. Because he uses it for good. Satan tries to use it to mock God, to say, oh, look, there's all these other pagan gods around. God's like, well, I'm the only God. But I'll speak to my daughter through this. Show her she's like a goddess in the way that I'm in her. Like, she's part God. I know it's kind of strange. Even I felt a little uncomfortable when he started doing that. But it's him. It's like a joke. Because he mocks Satan through it. It's kind of like, oh, you were using it for bad. Now I'm going to use it for good. And teach my daughter through it. And have her preach. And everyone will know I'm the real God. But I'll use it to teach. You know? He mocks Satan. It's like a joke, in a way. Not in every way. He'll mock Satan just in general. But so Artemis, you know how God said I'm like Diana, Wonder Woman? Her name's Diana. The Greek term for that is Artemis. He showed me Diana, then he showed me Artemis. She's like a goddess of the hunt. She's like a hunter. And she protects women. She's chaste, you know. And she's the goddess of the moon. I didn't even realize that. You know how God was telling me I'm like the moon to him? And you know how God was showing me that white stag I was saying? He actually showed it to me again in another thing. It wasn't really a stag though, but it had the antlers and it was white. It was just a different type of creature. And that white stag with the horns, it means Christ. It also means like leadership, kind of like the horn of the unicorn. Guess what Artemis wears on her head? I've seen her wear on her head in certain places. And what animal is her animal? It's the deer with the horns on the head. Lindsay Sterling, I'll put the video down there. She has this video God showed me where she's Artemis and she's playing the violin and she has this horns on her head. It kind of represents a crown. Or like he exalted me, like the horn of a unicorn. But it's a deer, and deer mean unconditional love. That's her animal. He'll show me the stag, then he'll show me Artemis again. I'll be like, what? Oh, I see. Also means wisdom. That's God. It's a joke, kind of. Pretty cool. He confirms everything. I'll put the video down there, and in the video, she's with all these other women. It's almost like she's like the leader, and she's bringing them into war against a demon that looks like a crow, like in Snow White, the crows with the woman. She was the devil. Yeah. That's like me and God's daughters going into war with Satan. And she has a bow and arrow. God told me I have a bow and arrow. She defeats Satan. Now, God showed this to me today. You know how God was showing me men with wings? And how he has wings and he'll show... Today in my recommendation videos, there was a man, he had wings. He was watching this woman sleep, and I was like, what? And it was the story of Eros and Psyche. Eros is the god of love. You know the jewelry God gave me? You know, this jewelry and has the ruby on it. This, he also gave me this. It says love. There's a rose on it, or he showed it to me. And I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but there is a heart on there. And there's a arrow, a bow and arrow going through the heart. Like Cupid or Eros. Cupid. He has these wings. He has a bow and arrow. God has a bow and arrow. He takes the bow and arrow and he strikes people in the heart and they fall in love. It's like a mythical story. And he related to himself as Eros, God of love. And I'm like, Psyche or Psyche. I know that's strange, but he did. Just in certain ways, he'll use it for good. Now, she was a human woman, and he's the God of love. And he saw her, and she was sleeping. God will show that to me a lot. Men watching women like they sleep in a loving way. It's like him telling me he watches over me when I sleep. Or just in general, he watches over me in love. Like protection. He'll show that to me over and over. And he falls in love with her. He gets pricked by an arrow. His own arrow, and he falls in love with her. They end up getting married, and she can't see his face. He won't let her see it. Now, not every part is like God, but some of it. It's the God of love and passion. She can't see his face one night. He's like, no, you can't see my face. Kind of like me and God. One night she lights this lamp, and she sees his face. And he gets upset and he leaves her. Now that part's not for me, really. But he did say, there can't be love without trust. It's kind of like God telling me, trust me, even though you can't see me. But the part he left her, not really cool with that part, but that's not really for me and him, but for me, I mean. But then she goes to his mother, who is Aphrodite. And Aphrodite makes her go through these trials or these missions. 3 of them. How many times did I have my thorn? 3 times. 3. And she's, he watches her do it. With the wings, he's there, and he helped her, at least in the first mission. He had helped her. There's differences in stories, but this is the one God showed me first, pretty much. It's like God telling me I'm there helping you, even though you can't see me. And I'm watching over you. And she succeeds, and someone had told her, wow, those missions or things you went through were really thorny. And then, she gets with Eros and they're good with each other and they're in love. She drinks this cup from this cup and she becomes immortal. You know how I said God is like, Jesus Christ is like the Holy Grail you drink from? She became immortal. And you know what happened? She sprouted butterfly wings. Blue ones. I was like, what? It's like me and God. See, he'll use it to teach me certain things, like to trust him. I'm there. I saw you in your trials. You're immortal. And you're my butterfly. Kind of like this. God showed this to me. No. It's a girl. She's a ballerina. She has the blue wings. Like God would show me the blue butterfly. And she's looking into a sunflower. And the sunflower has a rainbow and it's like a mirror. And the pink butterflies on there. You know how I said he spoke through sunflowers to me too? It means seek me and other things. And the mirror, how God, with the Phantom of the Opera, she goes through the mirror. God will show me men and women like with glass between them. Or like a mirror. It's kind of like that the mirror or the glass breaks. It kind of represents, I'm in this realm, he's in the other realm, and we're like connected. But it's like I don't see him. It's like 2 different realms. think it also kind of represents He watches me. So everyone who watches my videos, they watch me through glass, right? Through your computer or your phone. God watches me through the glass, in a way. But it basically means, and He sees me, but it basically means like the other realm. Like He's in that realm, I'm in this realm. The blue butterfly wings, she sprouted. He'll speak through this, I'm telling you. Really cool. Now, a sister had shown this to me, Sister Rose. You're probably watching me. Thank you, sister. She sent this to me about the bells. It's like a confirmation of the bells. And then what God showed me after was amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was so cool. She showed me the NIV version. It's like the same in the King James version. It pretty much means the same thing. This is in Exodus. I'm not sure the book. I'll put it down there. This was like when God talked about how He wanted the priestly garments to look. This video is going to be cut into the second part because it's so long. But it is what it is. They made the robe of the ephod entirely of blue cloth, the work of a weaver. This is like what the priests He wanted them to wear. God's children are priests. We're priests. We're a holy priesthood. What is a priest? An ordained minister. That's like me or you if you're God's child. But this is what they wore in the Old Testament. What is a weaver? Someone that weaves clothing, like makes clothing, similar to a tailor. That sister was telling me that because she watches my videos and she was saying this is kind of confirmation of what you were saying. It's in the Bible. Thank you, sister. It's really cool. A tailor. God showed me the word tailor, the name Taylor. What does tailor mean? Clothed in salvation. It also means eternally beautiful inside and out. Pretty sweet. But it's also a tailor. What does a tailor do? Makes clothing, cuts clothing. I'm not sure if they make clothing. They cut the clothing. That's like me. I cut. You know how God purges His children? If you bear more fruit, He cuts. That's what I do. I'm like a tailor. I help to prune God's children. Refine them in other words. I think tailors do make clothing too. But it's kind of like I make things too. I'm like a creator. All God's children, create through Him, and He inspires us to preach or whatever our calling is. With an opening in the center of the robe like the opening of a collar and a band around this opening so that it would not tear. They made pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen around the hem of the robe. And they made bells of pure gold and attached them around the hem between the pomegranates. The bells and pomegranates alternated around the hem of the robe to be worn for ministering, as the Lord commanded Moses. There were bells. Now I said they were like bells. There were bells on the robe for ministering. It's like a representation. What is the bell? We're a bell. What do? We minister. Or according to our calling, we serve God as a priest. Isn't that cool? And God actually showed me those verses, okay? But God actually showed me other verses too. Let me see. This is in Exodus 28. I'm going to cut the video off now. I'm going to go into more about how God confirmed the bells and how much and other things he's shown me that are funny. All right, love you guys.